let's see what you think are the automatic levels for the day and spots that we should absolutely be taking trades.
Yeah, so the first in this range, I can force automatic trade kind of setup I can see for is this 4-hour origin at 440 up top. Which,
You got a 4-hour origin. Yep. Okay.
Which protects the top of the move, leg of the move, which has a connection coming from the past.
Yep.
That's kind of priority one. Looking at this thing, I'm not sure it's gonna reach there, but let's see if it goes. Then the second point, I'm biased towards this front side 4R. Because it's
The second point is which one? Sorry, show that again, Deval.
so, yeah, it's 792. It's like a front side which has a origin on top of it, which again, it's much, I can say in a sense, less greedy or less premium. However, this one is something which I feel like kind of work out. And then in between, I have this 1-hour origin which protects the 4. In a sense, that's like a +1, -1.
Okay. So which ones of these would you deem as absolute must trades? Because remember, an automatic level is something that you're gonna always take a trade on, because you've got quite a few you're defining. So are you saying you're gonna be always taking every trade on all of them, no matter what? Like they're all automatic trades?
No. These are more like just in between time delays.
Okay, so those are gonna be more like decision trades, things that in the moment you're gonna decide if that's something worth going after. So those will be your decision trades.
And then I'm looking at this 31,440 as my automatic.
31,440. That's that 4-hour origin on the top side. Okay, so that's your must-take top side level. What about the bottom? What do you have on the bottom for us for your automatic level on the bottom?
On the bottom, cotton, I'm well-minded. However, I'm looking at this range here. 28,290, which is like a weekly backside, and this which has a 4-hour protection origin. It's not an origin per se, it's like it could have been an origin, like a 1-hour origin which broke out. So it's that's the another automatic on the bottom, but that's kind of really far from the where we are, so it's like a good 5% away.
So your automatic level on the bottom is actually below the current range. So you're saying the current range doesn't have any automatics?
On the bottom side, yeah, I have my doubts, which is like the automatic has already hit, which was 15 reverse for me. So that is already been done, because if you go below this, you're breaking the internal ladder, and then you have like this 1-hour origin in between of this thingy, this place, so which I have my super doubts on, and this is the low of the move. We break this, we are looking for the lower ranges, and I have some in between spots which I can think about as like automatic, because there was that 4-hour float which created some internal pieces when it failed, as we had last discussed. Like there are some internal pieces here. So if this holds, then it might be an automatic, but I'm a bit more biased towards this thing going to the next range on the bottom. I may be completely wrong, to be honest.
No, I like that. That's good. I would agree with you. And the reason I would agree with you, and here's where I'm going to take over on the screen share here. Sure. Let me turn my screen share on. Okay, so I have a lot of the same levels as you do. Everyone can see my screen okay? Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So I have a lot of the same levels as you do. I have the 4-hour on top. I have an hourly there. I have a current local 4-hour, which I don't think is an automatic. I have the current 4-hour body. I have almost the same trend. And I would agree on a lot of the things you said. So there's a couple pieces here that we're going to talk about that are really important. So number one, your automatic level on the top. I do like to find automatic levels as the greediest point in the move. So even if I just kind of draw the move back and start analyzing back here, I'd also like to see what happened back here to see if there's any origins or anything that we may be not seeing properly. So this could be one right here. So this is really important to see this 479 level, very, very critical. And then also let's just swap over to the daily real quick. Haven't checked this yet, so you have nothing there. We're going to add this level as a daily and see if it got tested. So that's the first thing I want to do when I'm trying to find this automatic level. Like I really want to take that range, that 4-hour current origin that you found, and I want to go backwards and see if there's anything else that's even superseding all of this stuff. So let's see. So the daily is gone. We don't need the daily. That's fine. But we have the 4-hour being hit. So we do have a 4-hour there. And if we go back to the 4-hour, is that the origin creation? Let's see. You have your first test right there. That's 1. And then obviously this is the origin creation. That's 2. So really, laddering underneath this level is pretty key right now to create your trend to support the moves down. So if we do go up, I do believe there's an automatic level to be found here. So that's the first kind of thing we always go through is we say, okay, is there an automatic level? Yes or no? So if it had been this right here, let's take a look. You've already got your first touch, right? Like your first, second touch right there. So if we were to take a look at the 4-hour, first touch, second touch, right? Like not that we're counting touches, but just to say like it's not an origin, it's just continuously testing over and over. That would have been a great spot to have a trend. But now with the creation of this origin, what we're really looking for is a ladder below it. So a lot of these levels it can go after, which will create the final trend. And if that trend breaks, the move is going to go up. So that's kind of the first thing that was important about finding this level, to see that, okay, we can reject this move one more time because we now do have a new high in the move, and that new high can create a trend. So that's the first important thing to finding the automatic level. At that point, I would just recycle it back to the greediest point. I don't really feel like this hold level is going to continue to hold. However, it can still ladder the move. You do have this 31,440 that you talked about, but you also have this here. I would lean more towards a 31,440, to be honest with you, in terms of trying to find this level. I would delete this and oopsies, not that one. I would delete this and I would just look for 31,440. But the context of why we found that level is critical, because if it tests this, and I might even go a little bit over it, I guess you have to measure there to see what it's worth. 16%, 36. You really can't break over 43%. So if you are going to take a trade, you could take it here. Your stop would be pretty wide. Like you'd have a pretty wide stop on 100x. But nevertheless, if you're going to take any of these trades, at least this ensures you're getting into all trades. Now you have to make a decision if you want to knife catch this, if it's worth knife catching, or if it's worth getting the rebuy on it. So you've got 36% difference. Ideally, this creates trend and you have your final trend in the move. So if in the scenario that we do go up, I do like an automatic level somewhere up in here. So whether you want to knife catch 31,440 or you want to see it hit first, pull back, and then get the rebuy. Like if this hits and you've got like a 1-minute candle and there's a little inverse here, then you just buy that. So you just take the rebuy and hopefully you can get in before it goes down too much. Because sometimes these levels hit and they just sink, and hopefully you don't give up a percent or two on this by doing that. So 2 ways you could play this level. But I do think at first defining it by an automatic level is important, because I do think we're going to pull back here, create a final trend. And with that final trend, that's what will break the move up and outside of this range, and possibly to this 32,197, right? That's still almost $1,000 above where we were. It's $750 or so from where we were, maybe 800. So I think that's really important, defining that. So there is a buy up here somewhere. Is it going to be this exact level? I would say that's safe to play that. Yeah, I would say it's safe to play this level. So I think I would take that as a knife catch. I don't think I'd be going for the rebuy, but I would take it as a knife catch. Now, on the bottom side, I do agree with you that there's no automatic levels to be really found on the bottom side of the chart. Like if you're looking at automatic levels on the bottom side, I think you're exactly right. I think you need to be looking down, starting into that next range, backsides over here, some of the stuff in here, like this could be a backside that got tested here. And I do think you don't really have any automatics on the bottom side of the chart now. I think you have already set up this move to break. You've been hitting this hourly origin here. It's been holding. I don't think there's any automatics, for the simple fact that, well, number one is that it does look like we're breaking down the move. We did set this thing up to break. Number two is that by going down into these areas down here where you may ladder off this, you're already hard closing this trend and this origin, and that origin has been holding it up. For that reason, I don't define any automatic trades down here, regardless if it looks like float off of this So go and ladder the move, which it did here. It did ladder that move. So it actually has completed exactly what it's supposed to do, because by wicking over top of this, whatever brings that move there, right? You ramp up to here, you wick over top of it. You're always gonna ladder this level down here if you're gonna continue to move up. So now is like a game of, okay, well, we did ladder the level. So technically we are still moving up, but are we going to be able to get over these levels here? And how high are we actually going to go? And then if that happens, do we create trend and start to pull back? I guess we're going to see as the day unfolds. But again, for this reason, I don't have any automatics on the bottom, but I do have an automatic on the top. Now there's something else interesting to kind of talk about here. This move looks like it's breaking up, okay? Because we did have this ladder of this float here. So if it looks like it's breaking up, shouldn't there be an automatic on the bottom and none on the top? No automatics on the top? No, that's not true, because in order for this thing to break up, it has to create a trend. And well, it doesn't have to create a trend, but more times than not, it's going to create a trend. So with that said, even though we are breaking up, there has to be some type of pullback, which makes it an automatic level. So that's why you're looking more towards this 4 hour here, creates a trend, creates an automatic level. That's fine. It can still support the move up. But if you do that, then I think that's a really good point and a really strong point to say, look, you've got 4 hour level here. If at the next point you go create this trend and hold this 4 hour, you're likely just going to break the move up. But for now, we do have an automatic at the top because it does have to create that trend. The architecture to break the move for once and for all isn't there. You do have an hourly here, so you do have to be careful of that hourly, just like you do here. So let's change this to reflect the same dash line. So you do have kind of like this mirroring in a sense. And then I do think you are going to decide which side of this thing breaks based on, which hourly breaks. But again, if you start to get up, hit one of these levels up here, pull back below this hourly trend, I think you're clear to go. So for all of these reasons, in order to break this chart up, I think you need to make a trend off this final part. And then you have to have a pullback against that. So it makes, even though we are moving up, it makes for an automatic level on the top. And there is no automatic levels on the bottom for almost the same reason, because now that you have your trend, like your automatic level existed here to create that trend. You have your final part of the move, right? You've tested both sides of the chart. It does look like you're moving up. You do have a floating level, but you've now created that trend. So this was your automatic level down here. I had it pegged as this. It went a little higher. I think there was like a 15-minute origin, something in this candle, or is a hold level or an origin. There's something in here I remember marking up that was very close to this 680 level. I remember we had 684 from before. So earlier in the week we had 685 right here, and I don't remember what the level was, but we did have, it could have been a reverse from here, it could have been whatever, not important, but it did hit that level. It didn't go as deep as we thought it was, and that's perfectly fine. We can just delete this. The point being is there's no automatics on the bottom side of the chart. So with that said, you enter a very interesting situation right now, because there's no automatics on the bottom. Every single trade on the bottom side of the chart becomes decision-based trades. So and I'm just going to mark a random spot on the chart here, just do my best to see. It looks like this could possibly be an important level here. Whatever this is on whatever time frame, that looks like it could possibly be an important level. This already looks like it, whatever origin was here, it looks like it broke up, bounced. So then maybe you have something like down in here. It looks like you start there, you go all the way down to here. So your range on this piece would be from here to here. Looks like this is already tested. So I'm assuming there's some type of test against the move on the bottom of this candle that's testing a hold level. So there's something in here. So there's something in here. So just by eyeballing it, I'm going to say possibly right here. You know what? I'm actually going to go and do it because now I'm actually curious. Let's go see. Okay, so you have an hourly, that hourly hold. You have this hourly, that holds. Okay, so you have right here. That's fine. That's good. Perfect. So then I think you're starting to, like, you're not taking any automatic trades down here. And I don't know if this is a good spot for an automatic trade either. I think this is a spot where you could make a decision based on the laddering of the move. I think your automatic trades don't actually exist. And let's go look at the daily and find it. Nothing there. This could be something on the 4. I don't really love it, to be honest. This is already getting attacked on the top side there here. So possibly you have something like this on the 4 hour, maybe. You have something like that. We can go take a look. We're just going to keep looking to see what we can find. So that was there. This inverse had hit there. So if that's breaking that move up, then you can go back down and test this right here. So you do have a 4 hour right here. I think that's a pretty good spot for one. You already broke this. So you already did have this as an origin, test, origin, break up, ladder over, right? So then I think right here would be your first like automatic trade to say that we're still moving up. So I think this is your true first automatic trade down here on the bottom side of the chart. I'm sure you can bounce stuff like that, but not important because we have no automatics on the bottom. And getting back to the main point of this, we have nothing but decision-based trades to make. So that means by the nature of what's happening on the chart, we should be taking a lot of scalp trades on the bottom side of this chart. And the reason, and this is really neat, the reason, not only because there's no automatics, but when there's no automatics, it means you have your polarity. It means you have your polarized moment. Like right now, this is your polarized moment, this trend right here, because this was created to support the move, right? Like this was right there to there. Let's just make sure it's snapped properly. Come on, I think I got to zoom in on this one. Right there. So because you have created polarity on the bottom of the chart, you have a ton of decision-based trades. It makes the chart very easy to kind of take these trades and know what's going on. So at first, going back to the earlier part of the week, we hit our level perfectly. We came back down to this bottom hourly here. We had this marked out from earlier in the week. It was a nice 5% trade, whatever. And then here would have been a nice, 1 or 2%. Yeah, 1 to 2%. It hit exactly kind of what we thought it was going to go for. And everything looks good so far following our TA from last week. But if you go to the 5-minute charts and you start to see where this trend gets created, it will constantly, now that it creates polarity in the move here, it will constantly give you buying spots to just go for on the chart. Like if you were to go and look at this, like you have a 5-minute buy right here, right? Decision-based trade, very quick, very simple. And it's going to continue to be like this every time you get to these levels on the bottom. Follow the trail. You have your next 5-minute level. Looks like you have a backside that was hit there. That fails down, doesn't quite reach for this. So I'm assuming this is your next level. It's probably just put that there. Take the replayer tool off. Yeah, that's your next level. I don't know if it actually hits the body. It's very close. Anyways, that's at hourly. The next trade would have been here, which is perfect. Your next trade likely be here now that there's not a reverse level there. Or you might be building timeframes now to say that possibly this 15 verse. Let's see this one here that hasn't hit. What about hourlies? Is there anything here on the hourly chart? Not really. Okay, so you just go back to the 5-minute chart here. That got hit there. This would be next. It held up the move. This would be next. So this hasn't been hit. So I think you do have a pretty good, reasonable trade here. I think you have one here, and I think you're just left with a ton of decision-based trades that you're never going to, you're never going to be trying to hold these trades, right? Like you're never going to be entering that. So like that's fine. That gets tested there. That gets tested there. I guess you could step forward one more. Your backside here fails. It goes after. Yeah, I think it's safe to say it goes after that. So if that fails, that backside, maybe even here might be the better trade right here. Nothing is tested on this one at all. And it's still relatively close within price. At that point, I'd like to just also find origins, deepest spots this thing can go. 15 minutes right here. So you do have a 15 right here. You have a 15 right there. You have an hourly here that's breaking the move. You have a 15 here that's breaking the move. So I think you can't really go too much below this. So I think when you go below this, you might just snap the whole move because this hourly's already been tested a bunch of times. Now you're starting to create this 15. You probably have a lot of internal pieces as well. So let's take a look. 5-minute to 5-minute. Yep, right here. Yeah, that would have been pretty perfect right there. And these are going to be a lot of decision-based trades, right? Like you're going to have to be very careful with this trend. You don't have any other timeframes that you can adapt it to. So like if we move up in timeframes, which is, I just remember this from moving down. I didn't see any colors. So you don't have any trends that can adapt off this. So you have decision-based trend there, right? You have no 15-minute there. You have any range trends that can connect from here to here? Let's take a look at the hourly again. Nope. 5-minute. Yeah, you don't really have much because you know what? You don't have any other time frame trends there. So that's an important thing to find out. So if there's no automatic trades and we start defining out what trends are left, like if this was a blue candle, I wouldn't mind that because then I would say, okay, well, this peach colored level might break the move down, but oh, wait a second, there's still a range trend in the way. We don't really have any range trends. Not that I'm finding anyways. You have a 5-minute one right here. You already have a 5-minute trend. You would need a different time frame. So that's something pretty important to know. So like everything on the bottom side of this chart is going to be all decision-based trades. They're things where you enter a trade, you do your TA in the moment, and they're quick trades that you're in and out of. I don't really see a reason, unless you're breaking over something like this, which isn't even a level yet. That's not an origin when you have anything on the 15. No, that's already broken. This one here. You have this right here. Nothing's... Oh, you have this right here. So you could ladder this actually. So you could go up and test this again. And you also have this guy right here. So you have kind of, your first one is tested. Your next one's tested. That stuff up there is untested. This is the ladder of the move. I think you have something here as well. Go to the hourly real quick. Take a look. Nothing on the hourly. That does separate the range a little bit. Possibly make a test of this whole level here by going up and diving this. But I think like that none of these are automatic trades. These are all decision-based trades. So just going back to the very beginning of this lesson, by defining that we do have an automatic trade on the top, we know there's a must-take spot on the day. So there's always going to be a short today. And by defining there's no automatic trades on the bottom side here, what we do is we know that everything's decision-based. So that instantly tells you how you should be trading for the day and what your expectations should be. So it gives you a ton of clarity to find where the automatic levels are, or just polarity in general, because that allows you to start seeing which levels you should be playing long-term, which levels you should be playing short-term. Like what should you take as a short-term trade? For example, what do we have? Let's go back. You have a 4-hour there. I don't necessarily think that's going to hit spot on and bounce. You have a 5-minute here. You have a 15 there. Levels tested here. So that 15-minute hold is tested. This 15-minute hold is there. So you don't have any 15-minute levels left. So we can automatically rule out any 15-minute levels. We have the 15-minute origin, and that's it. Let's go to the 5. Yeah, I was looking to see if this is an origin. It's not an origin yet. You have this that can coordinate with trend. You also have this 5-minute level right here. You do have this 5-minute level as well. These are all going to be decision-based trades. These are all going to be spots on the chart where you're looking to take quick scalps. And if you can make, I think you would want to say now, the higher the level, the less you want to make. So like at this level, I think you want to say, I'm good with just making, let's just measure this real quick. I'm good with making 40, 50% on this. I think that's perfectly fine to make 40 or 50% here. Maybe you could stretch it a little bit and go for the 60%, but I think that's how you cap that part of the move. You just say you're going to hit this. It's probably going to bounce. You can profit cap this relatively at 40%. You haven't been back testing this origin here, so I don't think you go back test that and do a 30% trade. But I think you're clear to go for like a 40% or here, 40, 45. This trade is oopsies. So this trade I would do like this, and I would say 45% on this trade. We'll go white. 45 on that trade. This 4-hour level, I don't think is going to even hold. I think you're going to break down to this 5-minute level. And if you hit this 5-minute level, how much are you going to actually move up? I suppose it depends on what you are taking there, but I also think this is relatively going to hit the same thing. So I think these are both 45% trades. I think you're going to go down, bounce here. I think you're going to then try to break trend, hold it, move up. Maybe at that point you can test this for a second time. So I think you max cap this at 1%. Yeah, I don't think you want to go over that. 105. I think that's pretty good for that trade. I don't think I would go anything more. And I think if you get 105 on that, that's really good. Is there any big trades that can happen here? This trend, I think you have a lot more percentages if you hit the trend. So let's talk about that for a second. So like we're going for deeper levels, better prices doesn't always mean better spots to enter trades. I think if you hit this trend and pull back exactly, or move up exactly, I think you're moving up into here. So I think you've got 1.5% off of trend. So trend, I like 150% on trend. We're going to go to the middle for this one. Oh, we have it centered. Okay, that's fine. Let's go to the right side on this one where the reach point is. Yeah, so I think you have 150% off trend, because I think if you hit trend and bounce trend, I think then you're just getting carried all the way up to here. So that's like, okay, so it's 130. That's fine. 130. 130. And then what do we think for the origin level? Like what other levels are here on the chart that make a lot of sense? Could have a daily right there as well. I don't mind this. You could set the big breakout out. Oopsies. You could set up the big breakdown. Oh, that was a text. I think you can set up the big breakdown here. And I think if you hit this daily and hold the move, then I think you're going up here. So that's where it's your trade that is a decision-based trade, but can turn into something more. So then I think you're at 2.8 there. And you can 280 and you can profit cap that to, like, I don't know if you can profit cap that one. I'm not convinced that hitting this daily would be the point that brings you up to here. I think you need to move up to a level, pull back first, and then bounce this 4. So if you bounce this 4 hour, I think that's when you can do that. And so what I want to do on that 4 hours, I want to deep dive that range a bit. I know the 4 hour starts there and goes all the way to where? It goes to down. Okay, so it goes to the bottom of the red. So now I know that my other level is going to be somewhere in here. So 280 if we don't create the origin. So this is the bottom of the move. What else do we have? Let's just keep going down and looking down here for something that we can find. 3 minute is tested. Reverse 3, don't like. 1 minute, is that tested? I believe it's not tested. We'll say 510. Yeah, let's try 510, see if how that measures. And I think that's the point of the move. Where you're at. Okay, so we were close, 5.2. So I think that's how you play these trades. And I think that's, in terms of automatic levels and profit capping, that's how you have to start. So on a day like today, again, I'm just going to kind of go back through a synopsis of this lesson. On a day like today, you have an automatic level on the top. You know that, and you don't have one on the bottom. That means you need to start defining these levels out like crazy and just start taking profits on them, because you might not hit 520, 280. You might not hit those levels. You might actually just hit this 130. You might have more development going on. But for today, for right now, this looks good. And you're not trying to swing for the fences. You're not trying to catch this move up. But I think a lot of people would get focused on the fact that there's possibly, 3 to 4 to 6% to make here. I think they look at those upper levels and say, oh, we must have hit the bottom. Where can we buy before it's too late? I don't necessarily think that's true. I don't think you ever look at this chart and say, let's buy before it's too late, because we know it's moving up. Alternatively, what you say is where are decision points, and which decision point makes the most sense logic flow wise, that if it hits that and moves, we can turn that into that bigger trade. And for me, it's that 1 minute level, because it doesn't hit the break of the move. So it does a few things here by doing that. You have your ladder point from here to back to here, right? So you have that ladder point connected there. At that point, what would break this move down is either this daily level, could break a weekly trend, +1, -1. If we hit that, I don't think we're reaching the top of the move. I think you can have a nice bounce, but I think that's a total profit cap. This 280, that's max. I don't even know if I would go for 280. I think this is a decision-based trade that you have to monitor. I would not be surprised even if you went to something like this for 1.2%. The bottom side of this current candle could be an inverse that we create, and then it could just dump the move down. And then I think at that point, you've got 280 up to here, right? And if that hits, it can also pull it down. But I think this is a very dangerous level to hit. I think there's a really good trade to be had here, but I think it's extremely variable. Like, I think it's a very, very variable trade that based on what target it hits is going to show you. And I don't like that for a big, huge trade, because it's showing you that the move is going to break. So that's the first part of it. Now, if that's going to break the move, what's the greediest level above it? Well, it's that 1 minute level. It's untested completely. If you don't hit this level, it means you're actually just creating your trend like this. You're just moving your trend out. You're going to start creating higher time frame trends. Like, I think it was the hourly. No, we don't have any hourlies. But you could have a 4-hour range trend off of this, I think. Where is it? You could have a 4-hour range trend off of this guy right here, which is really good to know, because then you have a range trend. And if the range trend breaks, then the move collapses. So by not hitting that daily, you also create a range trend to support the move. So this becomes a level where you make your big money on. So when you have no automatics on the bottom, you're now trying to define a dynamic automatic by seeing what it can hit next. And I think that 520 fires on all spots. I think 520 gives you the 1 minute level here, gives you the perfect flow of logic. And I think it gives you the perfect TA moving through this thing to support that larger move. So that's really important about not having any automatics defined on the bottom. Otherwise, so let's say there was an automatic right here, you kind of have to hit that to have that 520, and then this would just be 600 instead, right? Like you would just add 600 here, or whatever it is, probably 610 or whatever it is. You'd add that to the trade, and you'd say, oh, this is the polarity in the move. This is the final spot. This is where that larger move can happen. So if you measure this, then you're up at that, 610 or whatever percentage it is there. But we don't have that. Our actual level that protects the move to support it up is this white one right here. So I think that's where all your magic lies in terms of making profits. I think 280 could be interesting, but I wouldn't fall in love with it. I think it has more profits than the rest. I don't necessarily know if I would hit 280 perfectly. I think I would deep dive it a bit, maybe to this trend, but not below this hourly level, because I still want to ladder this point of the move to create that interior somehow. So I think there's also a difference there. If you stay above this, so like here, you can create an interior trend, and that could be the point that breaks the move. If you go below this, all of a sudden you're floating from here, right? So that changes the architecture completely. You'll never have an interior trend. Now, instead of interior trend being your polarity in the move, your polarity in the move would be actually just breaking that level. So depending on how soon or late, if you're all the way out here and then you have your interior trend like this, right? Obviously, if you get over here and you start hard closing this stuff down here doesn't matter. But then if you don't create this interior trend because you did go below it, right? You did go below that. This will be your polarity, or this trend here will be your polarity. So quite a bit of a different architecture in the move. So this is why I like 520 here is that level, because it's the perfect level that it has created a float already. It does continue the laddering, and it creates an interior trend. So you've got everything firing there, and it's the greediest level. So I think 520 is like your automatic on the day. And I don't even know if I would call it automatic. I would monitor it closely. I wouldn't set it and forget it, right? So this is a really cool way to look at the trades, because now all of a sudden you have even though the charts are moving up, you have an automatic on the top. You have to create that break moment. You've got a lot of decision points on the bottom, and you know exactly what they are. Like this one here is a good trade, but it's a good trade for 45%. I don't really think anything more. I think that's a great trade. This one here, 1%. Yeah, if the move development makes sense, it happens. And it's a good 1%. This green one down here, I'm not so convinced. I guess you'd want to try to ladder off of this to have that 15-minute. You could attempt this. I would be careful with it. You can define it as an automatic level. And I'm just going to put 200 here for now, because I do want to see where we can measure that to. Like I think you're measuring it to something like this here, like this right here. It's to kind of constantly ladder. So I wouldn't go too crazy with this level here. I would put maybe 125 as a profit cap on this, because I think you could go a little bit under it, just like right here. And then I think you could maybe spike that origin again, but then you ladder. Like I would profit cap this here, regardless if it goes up, the amount of times it's going to fail versus what the value of trying to get an extra. Like then you just go to backside for 156. So what would be the point of that from 125 to 156 when most of the time it's going to hit 125 anyway? So you're sacrificing 30% when I do believe that 7 to 8 times, so 3.5 to 4 times, this is going to hit and pull it back. So if that's the case, why are you taking that extra 30%? It's not worth it. The math doesn't make sense. Implied trading odds or implied trading profits dictates that it's just better to be there. And then even with that, I think you can kind of, wherever this profit caps to, which is 1.05, which is something like this. So I don't even think that's 1 point. I think that's more like 90. Wait, that's this level here. I think that's same thing. 1% here, or an additional 15 there. So you've got 100 here, not 105. And then you've got 120 here, not 125. And I wouldn't take both levels. I would take one or the other. I would not take both. So, and this is like a pretty, like, I mean, we've pretty much scoped out our trades for the day. I don't really think there's not much else to do here, right? Like, you know how much you're going for on each level. I think profit capping it based on logic flow is the right queue of events to do here. So you mark all these levels. We found the greediest polarized moment against the daily, which can break the move down. If it ladders that, that's the big boy move up at 520%. I think both of these levels you don't get liquidated on. So I do think you can enter a trade on this 1 minute level. That is, oh, let's try that again from this side. You can enter a trade. You've only got a 10% slip. You don't even liquidate to trend, and you don't even liquidate down to here to like a ladder off of here if this could be an origin for some reason. It's like this 520 level is decent. It's pretty good. It's got huge payoff, big rewards, and is just a good overall level to look for. Of course, you have to do your CA to see if it's going to support the move or break down, but this has defined pretty much our entire trading day. And you have trend here as well. And I think trend is another trade that can, easily cap to 3%. So I don't know if we added this one, but let's add this one as well to 300% and put the text color as white. Oh, and we need to put a right aligned to that, because I think if you just come straight down here, that's fine. You can hit trend, and then you're just going to either rate there for 2.4, but I think you profit cap it to that level right there. So it's actually 310. I think that's the profit cap on the trade is 310. So I wouldn't go any higher than that. 310. And this is like all decision-based realm here, because again, you don't have any automatics. I think your one automatic is 520. That's why it's got such a bigger percentage against the rest of the levels. So like when you're measuring against this, obviously this one here is huge profits, but that's your automatic. But it's not an automatic external. It's just internal to the range, because the internal range can fail very easily. But if you do have an automatic, it's this one right here. And that's where you get that big, large slam dunk percentage, because again, it is the automatic. It is polarity of the trade. So when you can start to find that polarity, define it, now you've scoped out like basically your entire trading day. You don't like, I don't know, you just have some pretty simple trades left over, and you have some very easy reaction points. And if you can squeak 45% out of this trade, that's a good trade. I like that. 45% there, like it. Perfect. If it goes up and higher, oh well, nobody cares. You made your 45%. Same with this. I think this is like a really good 1% trade, because it is a 4-hour level. If you take your 1%, it goes up here to 3 or 4. Who cares? Surely not me. I just wanted to, lock those percentages up. Sorry, on this 5 minute here. And I think that's a healthy way to look at it. And this is where you should align your expectations to the bigger level, to the bigger move. And yeah, I just think it's inevitable we get down into this range. I think that's where this holds it up. You have a huge amount of money to make, but I think that's also reflected in the risk of the level, right? Like a 1 minute level protecting something where everything else fails, 4-hour fails, possible 15-minute origin closure, 5-minute levels fail, little tiny 1 minute that protects the break of the move daily, which can also create the ladder internal range against the break of the move off of this reach point right here. And I think you're golden. I think you've like nailed everything.